So the reason we're here today is because when I was doing some research on a different project that I wanted to do, came across an interesting fact about Washington Park. Now, as you all probably know, this is a great place to bring your family, have a picnic, take a beautiful walk. You can do fishing in this pond that I'm looking at right now. And also, it is the home to several things, events throughout the year. The Lights in the Park, where you can take your family and you're able to drive through for a nominal fee and partake in those holiday lights. Also, they have the Park Playhouse here in the summertime. In the evenings, you can go there and watch a play put on by some local artists. And also, they have the Tulip Festival where you can go take a beautiful stroll through, looking at all the great tulips. They have different events going on that particular day. And you get to celebrate the history of the Dutch settling in the Albany area. So I want you to take a walk with me today, and I'm going to give you a little bit of backstory on the Washington Park. It does have, from my discovery, a spooky, creepy, terrifying past that not a lot of people know about. I had a hard time finding this information. But once I did, it was pretty interesting. So come on for a walk with me and let's see what we can figure out today. So picture this, 1800, immigrants coming over, coming into Ellis Island, dispersing into different areas of the country, mostly down in New York City, some coming up to this area, of course. And with those immigrants came disease, smallpox, measles, influenza, a multitude of things. And because of those things, death occurs. So most of these immigrants were placed in specific areas of the city, segregated per se, and they eventually were buried in their churchyards, and eventually those became extremely overcrowded. So around 1804 or so, there was a committee formed. They tried to figure out exactly what to do with this overcrowding and decided to purchase this property and make it into a cemetery. It was called the State Street Burial Grounds and was in use from about 1804 to about 1844. If you look at these guys over here, they're actually putting up the lights for the Lights in the Park, which runs from the day after Thanksgiving until about the first week in January. About $25 a carload. You can come through and partake in these beautiful lights with your family. Excuse me. And these folks that you see putting these up, all volunteers. So thankful for those folks that let us partake in this every year by giving their time and efforts to get the lights up. And the proceeds benefit the Police Academy and PAL, which helps inner city children. So a good way to spend your money, spread some holiday cheer, and take in those lights. Back to what we were talking about. So the overcrowding warranted some place to put these additional bodies. So they created the State Street burial grounds. Still segregated by churches, nationalities. Eventually, there was some flooding taking place, vandalism, gang activity, and had basically been turned into a stomping ground for livestock. So not really a great place to have your loved ones. So they came up with a plan to move those bodies. The plan was to move them to the Albany Rural Cemetery, which I've been to many times in the past. And they estimated there were 45,000 bodies buried here. However, that did not include the Potter's Field, which of course housed the bodies of strangers, prisoners, folks from the asylums, anybody that didn't have a family, people that were poor. This is where they went. So the 45,000, is it an accurate number? Who's to say? So in order to move these bodies, of course they had to dig them up, and of course they had to be placed in a pine box. Cost of the pine box at that time, $1. State went ahead in the city and ate that amount. When they hit about 18,000, they really didn't want to pay for any more. So given that fact, they decided that at that point they were going to tell the family, hey, you know, you got to eat this cost. You're going to have to pay for the pine box. You're going to have to dig up your family member, and you're going to have to bury them, excuse me, at the Albany Rural. Most people at that time couldn't afford that. That was a luxury, right? So given that fact, a lot of these bodies were not moved. 18,000, they claim, is the number of graves they moved. History says that it's more due to the fact that because to save money, they did take family members and put them all in the same pine box. So, you know, mother, father, children all in one box. So maybe 3, 4, 5 family members in one quote-unquote casket and brought over to that Albany Rural. So the number, honestly, is not even accurate. We can only surmise how many were moved. And that leads me to ask the question, how many are still here? So, I mean, there is really zero accuracy in the number. We could be walking on folks right now and not even know it. There has not been a lot of investigation on this here. I'm not sure why, because certainly it's an interesting tale. And certainly there is documentation to back things up. So, not really sure why nobody has touched on that before, but just to let you know, that State Street burial grounds was surrounded by the following streets, which are still in existence: Robin Street, State Street, Lexington, and Knox. The park, of course, is far larger than that. But again, that was the original area for the burial grounds. There's not a lot of mention of these burial grounds in any kind of real history, or any kind of state history that is taught to any children or college students. So you kind of have to dig for it a little bit. Not a lot of that information on YouTube either, Google or other places. A couple of articles here or there. So going into archives is really where you're going to find these things. Just thought that was an interesting tidbit that I wanted to share with you guys while we take a walk through this beautiful park. These folks that were moved, they are now at Albany Rural, Section 49, I believe Lot A. But at the end of this video, we're going to end up over there, and I want to take a look at that area. I have been to Albany Rural quite a few times, but I have never hit on that section. Did not even know that it existed, and that is because the stones were never placed upright. They're laying down in a row, several rows in this particular area. So you would not see them from any area of the Albany Rural. You'd have to know that it was there. So I'm going to finish here, and we are going to end up over at Albany Rural, and we're going to look at that area and see exactly what we can find. So I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so after 2 days of searching, looking at maps, and trying to find this place, we are here. Took me a long time, a lot of fence jumping, digging through some things, going into a lot of restricted areas I probably shouldn't have been in. Here we are, section 49. So, as I had previously said, this is where those bodies from the State Street burying ground were brought. I do notice they do have a plaque over here, so we'll take a quick little look at that, and then we'll take a look at some of these graves. (1801 to 1868), a little bit different than the information I received of 1844. So little off. And if we look down here, I'm not sure if you can see that. So this is a memorial erected in 1966 by the Albany Cemetery Association, and its 125th anniversary year. So 125 years after they moved these fine folks here is when they decided to erect this memorial plaque. But this is where these folks lie. So for sure, not the most elaborate resting spot, but alas, here they are. So back to the question of that I had yesterday. Not 45,000 graves here for sure. If we take a look around, you'll see that these areas have not been mowed. They've not been kept up. So each one, as we had discussed earlier in this video, each church had their own burial grounds, and true to form, if we look around this particular unmowed area, First Baptist Church. So each one, as we go around, will have their own section marked off. As you can see, as I had described yesterday, the stones were just brought and laid side by side by side. They were not put upright at all. So I would say this area here, there's probably 50 stones per row times about three rows, so about 150 in this spot. The other spot over there we had just walked from, probably about another 50. There aren't many there. Another spot over here, unmowed and unkept. I mean, honestly, kind of a disgrace that this is the condition and how they were brought here. But, I mean, they've been here for a long time like this. Certainly not mowed, not taken care of, and just kind of left here. But different areas, some down there, more over here. We'll take a walk over here. It's kind of wet this morning as well. Let's see what church this one is from. Not telling me. This is just a monument for a little guy. So this does not have a church marker. If you look over there in the background, all those stones you see over there, that's the Jewish cemetery as well. Let's see what's over here. Some more in the unmowed area here. Here. So, after a long lost journey, I found our destination. Here it is. Just wanted to show you guys and finish up that, finish up the video with an actual little field trip per se to this area, so that you could actually see the final spot. Okay, so that being said, thanks so much for joining me today. I appreciate it when you guys come along on my adventures with me, regardless of how crazy or silly they are. I appreciate you coming with me. So make sure that you are hitting the subscribe button, free of charge, doesn't cost you anything, so don't think subscription, it incurs money. Doesn't. It just keeps my channel active so that I can actually stay on YouTube. Make sure you hit the like button, and that is going to give you, let me know what you guys like, what kind of content, so that I can continue to bring you what you like and not go and doing some crazy things that nobody's really interested in. Notification bell, that's going to let you know when I put up new content, which as the winter approaches is probably going to be quite often, because there'll be so many different things going on during the holiday season. And yeah, so like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and thanks for joining me. I'll see you guys next time.